I want you to look around the room to the people that are here today. Your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues. Statistically, half of everyone here will suffer a major health crisis before retirement. Yes, heart disease, stroke, diabetes. So, if you're working hard, if you're stressed, if you're lacking sleep, if you have low sex drive, if you've been craving sugar and caffeine at 3 p.m., reaching for that candy in your desk, or that Diet Coke, or that ice cream cone, you might be on the wrong side of that statistic. So I'm not here to shame you into eating kale. I'm here to help you hack your health so that you can enjoy that 401k plan that you've been saving for retirement, right? So I'm Dr. Jyoti Patel, and I'm passionate about data and health, and I also want to help you learn about longevity, right? And today this presentation is all about that. I know that it's hard when you're busy and you're tired, so I'm going to give you simple hacks on how you can improve your health. So all I want you to do during this presentation is to think about the one thing that you're going to do starting today to get healthy. So why do you feel slow, weak, and foggy? Well, there's some simple reasons for that. If you're feeling low on energy, it might be a sugar crash. If you're feeling tired, maybe it's a poor night's sleep. And if you're feeling achy and brain foggy, you might have chronic inflammation. No sex drive might be low testosterone levels. So these symptoms aren't harmless. They actually have real consequences. They're taking away life from your years and years from your life. And here's some statistics on that. Sitting for 8 hours a day, which I'm sure most of us can relate to, increases your risk for heart disease 3-fold. And if you're getting less than 6 hours of sleep, that can increase your risk for dementia by 30%. Belly fat, that also increases your cancer risk by 40%. Now, if you're working a long 60-hour work week with high stress, that in fact can shave off 10 to 15 years of your lifespan. And IT men, they have 2 to 3 times higher erectile dysfunction rates than average. But here's the good news. 80% of diseases are reversible. And I do want to share a personal story, my own story. So when I was in my own practice, working more than 60-hour work weeks, sleeping very little, snacking between patients, I did a blood test. It was called a biological age test. It tells you how old your cells are. And I was shocked to find out that I was 10 years older than my actual age. So fast forward, I sold my practice and I started a wellness clinic and I started walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And I started implementing some of the things I'm going to share with you today. And I repeated the biological age test. And I'm my actual age now. And my hope is in the next decade, I can push that age even further back. So diseases can be reversed and aging is not a permanent solution. So here's the thing. I know that changing habits is difficult, especially when you're tired and you're overworked. And staying the same is easy, right? But you don't have to make a big overhaul. You just have to make one simple change and stack it to something you're already doing. For most of the people, 90% of your longevity is tied to these 4 levers. Your metabolic health, your muscle and movement, your sleep and recovery, your stress and restore. You just change one of these levers and you're going to rewire your longevity. You master all 4 of these things, you're going to add decades not just to your survival, but also to your health, your vitality, and your energy. Now, you might be looking at these things and saying, well, yeah, I know about these things, but you may have a hard time starting. Or you may have had a hard time staying consistent. And today I'm going to show you how you can do this in easy steps. So the first lever of health change is metabolic health. What if I told you that when you eat and what you eat can determine if you're healthy and energetic and you're into your 70s? Your blood sugar is dependent on when you eat and what you eat. Your blood sugar, not counting calories, will determine your metabolic health. So when your blood sugar is stable, you feel sharp, you feel focused, you're on point. And when your blood sugar is unstable, You feel tired, brain foggy, make mistakes, and get irritable, right? And so we want to metabolically be healthy. And the one way that we can do that is by regulating our blood sugar. So let me tell you about a guy that I saw in my clinic. He worked in IT. He was sedentary, worked long hours, was stressed. He snacked on processed food between meetings. And he had heartburn, but it wasn't heartburn. He had heart disease. And when he started looking into it, the root cause of it was his blood sugar. So he started to track his blood sugar. And what he found out was that his blood sugar was being impacted by a lot of different things. His food that he was eating, certain foods that he thought was healthy, was causing sugar spikes and crashes. He found out that he was eating too soon. His blood sugar was still high and he was going for another snack. And when he ate things in combination, it was causing more sugar spikes and crashes. And when he ate other things, it stabilized his blood sugar. So when he used the data and he experimented with his food and his stress and his sleep and his movement habits, he was able to lose weight, he had more energy, and he was able to focus at work. So you might be thinking, okay, what can I do simply to change one thing when I eat and what I eat? So if you're that kind of person that gets that 3 p.m. crash, you may want to plan on having some almonds and some cranberries. Loading up fiber and protein will stabilize your blood sugar before the crash. And if you're looking for that sugar fix, you may want to grab some dark chocolate and some raspberries instead. Now, if you're looking for some more data, you're like, that's a great idea, but let me get into the data a little bit more. There are so many tools that you can use to kind of manage your blood sugar. How many of you here have heard of a CGM, continuous glucose monitor? Yes? Yeah. So if you haven't heard of it, it's actually a device that you can put on your arm. It's a disposable device. It lasts for about 14 days. And it pairs up with your smartphone. And in real time, you can see what your blood sugar is doing. So if you're eating something like you think a healthy oatmeal, you can see that if it's helping you or hurting you in real time. And you can see what foods work for you, what foods don't work for you, and you can make those changes to help your metabolic health. I'll give you my own example. So I experiment with all of this myself. I put on a CGM. Food did not impact my blood sugar. But when I was at work and I was in front of my laptop for 2 hours, my blood sugar went up 10 points just with the stress. And on nights that I didn't sleep very well, my blood sugars were over 100 the next morning. So there are so many things that you can gain from these kinds of tools. And if you want this information, I have a QR code that you can scan at the end to get some of this information. So the lever number 2 is muscle and movement. Now, muscle isn't just about vanity and it's not about that six-pack. Muscle actually helps us control our blood sugar. Did you know that your muscle uses more blood sugar than any other organ in your body, even while you're sitting here? So the more muscle, the better blood sugar control. Muscle also increases testosterone, increases sex drive. How? When you do weightlifting, when you do explosive movements, your muscles release a chemical called irisin, and that tells your body to make more testosterone. And movement helps with cognition and brain health. Did you know that when you walk, a simple walk, using your large muscle groups, your muscles release a chemical called BDNF. There's a quiz later, guys. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor can actually stimulate the brain to make new neural synapses. So walking during your workday can actually improve focus, productivity, and creativity. So I get it. You're sitting at a desk all day. You know that sitting is bad for you, but it's hard to make the change. And we know that sitting is the new smoking, right? And there are some startling statistics here. If you sit for more than 8 hours a day, you have a 90% greater risk of early death. And if you sit for more than 6 hours, you're shrinking your brain's memory center. And if you eat a meal and sit for 2 hours, your blood sugar control is 24% worse. And if you think that you hit the gym after work and that's going to negate the 8 hours of sitting, I'm here to tell you it doesn't. So you're sitting at your desk and you're like, you know what else can I do? I'm tied to my desk. This is the way it is. But we have these wearables nowadays that can help us trigger change of behavior. If you wear an Apple Watch or a Whoop band or a Fitbit of any kind, those devices are now triggered to detect if you've been sitting for too long. Yes? And prompts you to stand. but it doesn't work if you don't stand. Also, it keeps track of your steps, and it tells you if you need to meet your goals at the end of your day. So it might prompt you to make some better changes. So thinking about that, again, it can also calculate some of your NEAT calories, which is your non-exercise activity, which might be just taking trips to the bathroom or parking further away. So you might say, well, I don't have any time. And I'm here to tell you that there are 3 exercises here that I'm going to share with you today that have more metabolic benefits than walking 10,000 steps a day, right? And these are science-based desk exercises that you can do. The first one is an isometric desk squat. So studies show that if you stand up every hour and just do 10 body squats, you can actually lower your blood sugar better than getting your 10,000 steps in a day. And if you have high blood pressure, listen to this. If you have a stress ball or a hand grip tool and you do 10 squeezes on each hand twice a day, you can drop your blood pressure by 20%. And studies actually show that it's better than your cardiovascular exercise. And lastly, this is one of my favorites. It's called a soleus push-up. So you're sitting in your chair right now. Raise your heels and drop your heel. Raise them, drop them. If you can do that 15 to 20 times every 30 minutes, studies show that you can drop your blood sugar 52% more than walking. And you can improve your metabolic rate by 52% and drop your sugars by 60%. So again, I've put in some information here. These are all based on scientific studies, something that you can do starting right now. But let's say you don't want to do these desk exercises. You also have other options. Your daily movements count more than your gym time. So this is something called non-exercise activity thermogenesis. How many of you fidget? Fidgeting actually improves your metabolism, right? So if you're a fidgeter, if you take standing calls, if you take trips to the bathroom, all of those things can improve your insulin sensitivity. Another trick is this 3-minute walk interval. If you do a fast walk for 3 minutes and a slow walk for 3 minutes, that actually improves your blood sugar 52% more than just sitting. So it also helps with boosting creativity. So when you go to the bathroom, maybe just do a little sprint for 33 minutes. Hopefully pick the bathroom in the other building maybe. And that's going to help with just getting in that non-exercise activity time. And lastly, if you take a 10-minute gentle walk, it doesn't have to be a sprint, a 10-minute gentle walk after your meal, you can cut your glucose spikes by 30% and improve your afternoon focus. Again, why? Because you're controlling your blood sugar. Your third lever is sleep recovery, right? So I know we all have trouble with sleep. Every person I talk to has trouble with sleep. But sleep is when your brain is actually in its maintenance repair mode. It's clearing out memories, it's securing information, it's clearing out waste, it's prepping you for the next day. But here's some startling statistics. If you have chronically poor sleep, you're high risk for dementia. Also, only one night of bad sleep is going to decrease your focus and attention by 60% the next day. And here's something else. There are these plaques that form in the brain that are a sign of Alzheimer's. And we find that poor sleep can double the evidence of this. And 5 hours a night for 1 week can show up as 10 to 15% drop in testosterone. That's aging your hormones by 10 to 15 years. So think about the age you're at and add 10 years to that. So you might have trouble sleeping, and I would recommend considering some simple hygiene. Setting a bedtime, sticking to it. Turning off your tech at least an hour before bed. Cutting out food and drinks 3 hours before bed. Making your room a sleep sanctuary. Turn down the temperature, make it cool, make it dark. But if you're doing all of those things and you need more help, there are a lot of wearables nowadays that can help prompt sleep. Like my Apple Watch can be set to remind me that it's time to go to bed. I set it at 8:50. It says it's time to wind down. Something very simple that kind of breaks the monotony of me sitting in front of the television or in front of my laptop. You can also have things like the Whoop Band. It tells you, based on your metabolism, when you should cut down on your coffee. Is that interesting? So a lot of these things can be done. There's a mindfulness app on your phone, on your watch, they can also set you to say, it's time to wind down for the day. Take a minute to reflect. Anybody use it? It's a good tool if you use it. There's also other things that can optimize your sleep without you even trying. There's a mattress pad that detects your sleep and cools the bed by 2 degrees when you enter REM. And we sleep better doing that. There's also a wrist wearable, this Apollo Neuro. And when you're stressed, it detects your stress and it starts to emit a low frequency vibration that lowers your cortisol by 40% and raises your HRV by 11% to help you get into deep sleep. So if you're those 2 a.m. awakening people and you can't get back to sleep, something like this can actually hack your biology and help you put you back into sleep. You can set your phone to go into night mode. You can set that consistency alarm that I talked about. You can also wear a headband called Muse, and it measures your brain activity and it helps you relax more than meditation. Now, you may go to bed every night and wake up at 6 a.m. and think that you've had a good night's sleep. But in fact, there are 5 critical metrics that tell us if you're actually optimizing your sleep. The first is sleep latency. That's how long did it take you to fall asleep? The second is light sleep. Did you detox? The second is REM. Did you cement in your memories? Then it's deep sleep. Did you repair damaged tissue? Did you get rid of cancer cells? Did you improve your body's metabolism? And another measure is HRV. It's the time between heartbeats, and it tells us if we're stressed while we're sleeping. In addition to these 5 metrics, your devices can also tell you if you're ready for the next day. A readiness score is taking a combination of your heart rate variability, your respiration rate, and it tells you if you should go slow the next day or whether you can really push it. You can look at your sleep score to look at your sleep quality using those 3 variables. It also tells you if you're going to get sick. This happened a lot during COVID when people were wearing Oura rings and they would be able to tell if they're going to get sick because their temperature went up or their heart rate went up or their respirations went up or they had trouble with sleep apnea and their oxygen levels were dropping. So these devices can really help us optimize our sleep by giving us more data, and then using that data, we can then make change. Because again, data means nothing if you don't use it to actually make change. The 4th lever to good health is stress. How many of you stay up late working? How many of you check your emails first thing when you wake up? How many of you check your notifications all day long? These behaviors are tied to chronic stress. IT workers report 83% having chronic stress. So again, what can we do, right? We're tied to our treadmill of work, and stress is inevitable. And maybe you've tried other tools, but what I love about tech is that when you're disconnected from your neck down because you're in your head all the time and you don't even see the symptoms happening in your body until you fatigue out, right? We get stressed, we stay stressed all day long, and then you crash at the end of the day. Then we binge out on Netflix and maybe food and sugar and alcohol just to start that cycle all over again. The great thing about wearables is it can detect stress in your system, so then you can mitigate it right away. And then you get stressed again and you bring it back down. You get stressed again, you bring it back down. So that at the end of the day, you've dealt with all that stress debt and you're not dealing with it on vacation or on the weekends. So here's something that the Whoop band does. It can actually tell you that you're stress overloaded, and it gives you a recommendation for a meditation. Your CGM, your continuous glucose monitor, will give you an alarm if your blood sugar is dropping, especially if you've been skipping meals and going meeting to meeting. And one of the things I have on my watch is called an AI stress monitor, and it vibrates and it lights up when I'm overloaded, giving me a cue to take a break. Now, taking that break is your job. And you might say, okay, so it's giving me this cue, but what can I do about it? So let me give you 3 quick ways that you can dissipate stress right away. Let's say you're about to go into a meeting and it's going to be super stressful, or you're the one presenting. You can do breath work. I'm going to teach you a very simple tool. It's called 4-7-8. Taking a deep breath in for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. And then exhale slowly for a count of 8. If you can do that 5 to 6 times before you enter that virtual call or that board meeting, you're going to find that your stress level will automatically go down, and there's science behind it. Breathing activates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve turns on the parasympathetic nerves, which then put us in a rest, digest state. A second hack. Let's say you're going meeting to meeting and you're just fried. Your brain you're overloaded. Then you can do a 5 senses exercise. So you can either look outside or step outside. And just for a moment, while you're sitting here right now, pay attention to your 5 senses. What you're looking at, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, maybe what you're smelling, what you're tasting in your mouth, and how your body feels in the chair you're sitting in. Are there any areas of tension? What's the temperature like in this room? And lastly, if you're having a confrontation with a coworker, a friend, or a spouse, and you're in fight or flight, I want you to think of this acronym called STOP. S stands for stop reacting, create pause. T stands for take a breath. O stands for observe how you feel. What is this person, this situation causing you to feel like? And what's the story you're telling yourself about this person or this event? And is it true? Can you find other versions of the truth? And how do you respond to somebody when they're confrontational? Then the P stands for come with compassion. Compassion for yourself because this person or situation is stressful. And how do you normally respond, and how can you take a different path than the one you normally take? So I give this talk a lot, and the thing is, I give you these tools and solutions, but I always get excuses, right? It always happens. The top 3 excuses. The number 1 is the most important one. We're going to tackle that one. I don't have enough time. So I've already told you today, you don't need more time. You just need to be more efficient in the time that you have at work. What about those desk exercises? What about doing some 10 squats? What about raising and dropping your heels? Right? What about getting a stress ball? Why not make a few trips to the bathroom? Why not park further away? These are all things that we can all do easily. And not only that, if you give yourself permission to make that a priority, you will add time to the end of your life. Isn't that amazing? Excuse number 2, I am not motivated. All right, you guys are motivated. You're just motivated to build and fix systems. And your body's just another system. So hack it. What is it that you want to optimize in the system? Is it your sleep? All right, then set a bedtime. All right, turn off your tech. Yeah? Get a device that cools your mattress. Get a device that puts you into a relaxation mode. It's all about what you put your attention on. Oh, number 3, I'm overwhelmed. But here's the thing. I get it. I've been overwhelmed in my life. So many things. One more thing you're asking me to do. I'm only asking you to do one thing. Just do one thing. Stack it with something you're already doing. All right? Your morning coffee? Add in some protein powder. Right? You have lunch? Go for a 10-minute walk. It doesn't have to be difficult. You just have to make an intention to start somewhere. So if you want to make it to retirement, I want to challenge you for the next 30 days to do this. I want you to start by picking one of these levers. Work on metabolism, your blood sugar maybe, muscle and movement, sleep, or even stress. And I want you to pick one tool, maybe something that you already have, but you haven't been using. Maybe it's your smartwatch. Maybe it's an Oura Ring. Maybe it's a CGM. And I want you to think about one metrics for the next 30 days that you are going to optimize. Is it going to be your blood sugar? Is it going to be your stress levels and your HRV? Is it going to be your sleep scores? Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about overhauling the system. It's about just doing one thing. And if you work on yourself for the next 30 days, you're going to improve your health for the next 30 years. So which lever will you start on? Thank you. So I did create a longevity tech worksheet. If you want to scan the QR code, you'll be able to get some of the tech that I mentioned today.